and welcome to this week's episode of Unconditional Self-Love with myself, Tilly Reid. I hope you are well. I'm very well. I'm just chilling on my bed after a lovely night singing with a choir last night in sweltering heat. Like I say, we wouldn't be British if we didn't talk about the weather. It just happens because we're not equipped for extreme weather. And I think this week has been pretty extreme, to say the least. So, but enough on that. What am I going to chat about today? Today I want to talk about friendships. Friendships. They're just that staple in your life that, from when you were young and then, through to getting older. Maybe you've kept the same friends. Maybe you've changed friends. Maybe you have different friends from all over the country or not even just in the country. It is in this world where we are seemingly can be more divided. It's very easy for people to move around now and go and live in further afield, which I've certainly found in my friendships. But so I always find that cultivating the friendships that I have has always been really important to me and making that effort. So I'll tell you a little bit about my sort of friendship history first. As my dad was in the army, we moved around a little bit, not too much, but I was born in Germany. Don't really remember a lot of that. Don't remember. It wasn't until we moved to a place called Thorney Island, which is on the south coast of England, that I do remember certain friendships forming. And yeah, I just remember that being really lovely. We were at an advantage being on an army base. If maybe you grew up in an army base, maybe you didn't. But the best thing about it was so safe. And I know that people do talk about it probably feeling much safer back then than it does now. Maybe it was the same, not on a base. But for me, this is my experience. And on a base, it was so safe. I think I was just outside all the time. I just remember we had this big garden and my dad put a tyre swing in it and all the kids used to come around my garden. We used to play in there. I remember being on my bike all the time and yeah, I just remember being outside all the time. I just loved it. And at some point I asked to, this was the point where I asked to do dance lessons. And I started doing ballet. So that was sort of another sort of friendship circle that was kind of started being created. But then when I was 10, we moved to where I live now, which is Lincoln in the UK. And it's always hard when you're coming into a new school at year, I can't remember, but I think I had about 2 years left of my primary school, only about 2 years. So, you've got kids that have obviously been there for the whole time. It was really difficult for me to make friends. I was very quiet. I was very shy. I was just, I used to very much keep to myself and I was like, oh God, don't talk to me. Even getting up talking in front of people would have just, wouldn't have done it. But some friendships did form. I did make a couple of close friends that, I remember a certain friend, we used to go to the swimming pool on a Saturday and then her family used to work in a chip shop down the road. So we used to go there and then we used to go to the chip shop and have some chips. And she was an amazing drawer and I remember her doodling and drawing pictures and yeah, that was great. I remember doing that. I'm not sure, around the time I was going to a dance school. I can't remember. Oh, no, I changed a few dance schools when I was younger, so there is a certain sort of friendship group that's forms within that. And then I started big school, secondary school, and I mean, it was okay. Like, I know I got off lightly. I know that some people hate it, some people really enjoy it. And for me, it was okay. I had friendships throughout, There was no, I mean, there probably was drama, but there was nothing I particularly remember. I just remember hanging out. I mean, back in the day, we're talking in the 90s. So, I mean, it was great because it was like a youth club that was open. I mean, I find it such a shame that they closed the youth clubs, because it was such a great place just to go and hang out, and you could, have some sweets and play some games and just chat with your friends in this safe environment, in this space. I remember I was having like discos and stuff, and like it was so much fun. And yeah, shame that those all disappeared. But they were a great space. As I sort of grew and evolved, I changed friendships in school and sort of became friends with there was the group that were kind of like really clever, but also popular. Do you know the group? I sort of got in with them. I don't even know how, but I was sort of very much on the lower rung of the group. But I just sort of just slotted in somehow and became friends with them. And they, to be fair, it was a smart move on my part, because they really, really helped me with my exams, because they were intelligent, and they just helped me. They helped me probably in so many ways. And yeah, so that was that. I was also discovered drama. I started doing drama at school, and that was just like, I mean, oh God, we had the best drama teacher at school, and from that, there's a certain kind of bond that is formed when you do theatre with other people, and that has continued throughout my life. And so after school, I didn't really know what I was doing. I sort of, all my friends went off to uni. I was just like, I don't really know. I don't really want to go to uni. I didn't feel like that was the right fit for me. I stayed around Lincoln. I just stayed working, just going out, basically. Going out drinking, sort of becoming friends with the people that I work with, mainly, and just going out drinking. That was pretty much my sort of late teens, early 20s. Until I went back to college in my early 20s, and that was a period of discovery, going back into college. New friendships formed. I didn't stay friends with anybody from school, but I do have one close friend that I am friends with still from college, and she is my oldest friend. Not oldest as an old, but she's my oldest known friend. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was just an amazing experience, and I went through a lot of stuff with those people, as you do. I think especially doing like drama and stuff like that. It like I say, it does bond you in a very special way. I had my first gay relationship at college. I met a woman and was like, oh, I fancy you. And yeah, I was like, this is new. So yeah, that happened. But we had a really strong bond with a lot of people at college, so we ended up all living together, and going out together and doing everything together, as you do. And then that sort of disappeared after we left college, and sort of fast forward to my late 20s, when I was just like, what am I doing? I want to go to university. Yeah. And sort of university for me was where I have sort of, I cultivated a few more friendships, a few more really close friendships actually, that I am still friends with today. And yeah, they are very special friends. So yeah. And then since then, I think I've always had this idea that I wasn't very good at making friends. I don't know, maybe that's that sort of young shyness in me, like, oh, well, why would people want to be friends with me? I'm just, oh gosh. But yeah, something kind of magical has happened over the years, as my sort of confidence has grown in myself, as I've got to know myself and gone through the sort of this journey, if we want to call it. I've picked up a few new friends along the way, and it's great. I just, I think it's great. And yes, that's my story. I think, it's there's friendships that you keep hold of, and it's good to nourish them and, spend time with them and do things with them. But also, I think it is really healthy to let go of some friendships, and that has happened to me. And some have been like, oh, okay, that's a bit sad, but I think it's just a natural part of life, because sometimes there's only so much you can do to help a relationship. I read a quote while doing this. Apparently, you are the average of the 5 people you spend time with. Think about that. You are the average of the 5 people you spend time with. Okay, so what does this mean? I mean, it makes sense, really, that you would have a shared mindset, because you do. If you tend to hang out with people who have similar values to you, who think similarly to you, And I don't get me wrong, I do like it when there's a bit of a challenge and, we feel differently. But I know that often in my friendships, especially, I know that I can disagree with somebody. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to be their friend and be like, wow, sod you. No, we have you might not agree and go, okay, cool, great, let's move on. That's it. You could have a mutual influence over each other. I think this, there's that thing that happens, isn't there, when one couple breaks up and then everyone starts breaking up in the friendship group. It's like this influence. And maybe you don't even realize you're doing it. I think, because you spend so much time together, naturally, I think you just rub off on one another. So, yeah, there's going to be an influence. And you do tend to consume the same type of media. I often find that, me and my friends, we want to watch the same things or listen to the same things, it's all really, really important. So why is it important? Our friendships, what can they do? They can boost happiness. Of course they can. Of course they can. I mean, if you've ever been in a room where you're just with a friend and you're just, I don't know, talking about something funny or watching something funny and you're just absolutely crying with laughter. I mean, that is just the best thing. It's just the best thing. They bring so much joy to my life. They're an emotional support, I know for me, like when bad stuff's happened, I know I can message or call and be like, oh God, this has happened. And my friends will be there for me just as much as I will be there for them. It gives you a real sense of belonging. You belong to these people that want to spend time with you. That's such a privilege. Time is precious, and these people wanting to spend time with you is just, it's the ultimate gift. It is actually good for your physical health. And we've all heard the quote. I'm going to read it. Apparently, the mortality impact of being socially disconnected is similar to that caused by smoking up to 15 cigarettes a day. Wow. I mean, that's a lot of cigarettes. as someone who used to smoke back in the day, not a lot. I never used to smoke a lot, but that's a lot. But yeah, but it does. It can take a real physical toll on your body because it elevates stress. And, we all know that stress can cause a whole heap of problems. So, yeah, not good for you. It helps create healthy habits as well. I often find that my friendships were all very similar health-wise. We're all very interested in being like, okay, we want to do this for ourselves because we want to get older being healthier. It just brings so much joy to my life. So how do you create more? Or, how do you sort of look for them? Maybe you're looking for more friendships in your life. Maybe you're trying to help with the ones you've already got, and what can you do to do that? I mean, you need to kind of take the initiative. I think sometimes it can be easy to be like, oh, well, they haven't called me, so I'm not going to call them back. Why would I call them? They've not messaged me. It's okay. It's okay just to be the bigger person and message a few times. Like, don't get me wrong. If it's sort of a consistent thing, where you're like, okay, I'm going to get the hint, but when, people have busy lives, we all have such busy lives, but you've just got to be that bigger person and just message and take the initiative and be like, hey, I'm thinking about you. Let's meet up. Just for a low pressure coffee walk, something really easy, it doesn't have to be like a big event, you can just literally meet up. That's it. But you've got to kind of take the initiative and just message. I do this thing where I sort of don't see friends for a while. There's certain friends I see for sort of more often than not, and then there's other friends I sort of see less. And those friends I sort of suddenly go, oh, I haven't seen them in ages, and I message them all. I'll be like, hey, let's meet up. And then I have like a really busy social life for about a few weeks, which is great, but also knackering. When you do meet up, it's good to be consistent and reliable, We value those friendships. Be on time, or at least be messaging to be like, I'm late. I'm so sorry. It's just respect, isn't it? It's just respect for one another. I think this goes with anything, just respecting each other. It's always good to active listen. Actually listen to what the person's saying. Maybe they want to share something with you. Just listen. You don't need to contribute sometimes. It is hard because I think sometimes when you're having a conversation, you're like, oh, I've got something to say about that. I really want to say my thing. No, just let it. Just let that person say their thing. And sometimes you forget what you're going to say, because I've done that so many times. I've just been like, I have absolutely no idea what I was going to say anyway after that. But it's okay. The conversation's moved on and it's okay. And maybe you want to share something as well. And it is about being vulnerable. Maybe not straight away. Maybe that's something that comes with time, especially if it's a new friendship. But, share those moments because, you never know. And sometimes opening up about those things can create the most wonderful, wonderful friendships. So I would just like to say thank you to all my friends. If you're listening, I know some of you do, some of you don't. But yeah, I value all of my friendships in every single way. And I hope that you do too, everyone listening. And, if you're thinking about a certain friend right now, just give them a message. Just give them a message. Tell them how you feel and just be like, let's meet up. Arrange a meet up. Because honestly, they just bring so much joy. So yeah, that's it for this week's episode. I will be back next week with another one. Bye. Hello, welcome to the 3 joys of the week. This week, number 1, we have singing with a choir. I know I've said singing before, but last night we did a concert in a very, 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 very hot hall. But getting on stage and singing with that bunch of people bunch of friends that I would consider some of them. It is just, honestly, it's just a sense of community. And singing is really good for you as well. So, just lots of just bonuses there. Number 2, working something out for yourself. That thing, it can be so easy to get on the internet, ask Google, ask somebody, at work. But actually, when you are more intuitive and you probably know more than you think you do. And it's just about trusting that. And when you work that out for yourself, you're just like, oh, yes, it is such a sense of achievement. Trust yourself. And the last one is sharing pet stories. I love hearing about other people's pet stories. Like, honestly, it brings me so much joy. I'm like, yes, talk about your pets. I want to hear all the funny, silly, emotional stories. Like, just give it to me and show me pictures. Like, like I want it all. Like, yeah, because you just see somebody's face like light up when they're talking about their pets. It is such a joy. Okay, I'll see you next week. Bye.